So, this is all there is. This is wholeness. There's nothing else. All there is wholeness. All there is oneness. Everything is simply the expression of oneness. It's the play of one. It's all just play. Meaningless, wonderfully meaningless play. So, this is the formless in form. This is the absolute being relative. It isn't that the absolute is apart in some pink cloud somewhere and the relative is appearing here. This is the absolute. You're looking at it. It is this. There is not two things. Nothing is divided. And it's the absolute freedom, the madness, the wonder of wholeness. It's just mad, wild energy. It's just energy. It's just life. There isn't anybody running it. There's nobody out there writing the script. There's just energy. There's just life. It's completely, apparently ordered and also completely mad and chaotic and unpredictable. It's total freedom. There's nothing that restricts it. And being total freedom, it also can appear as limited, as though it's limited in some way or other. It can be anything. Oneness, wholeness can be anything it likes, including the apparent separate individual, the apparent separate being, the separate person can arise. And it's that separation is uniquely human. Nothing else feels separate. But in some way or other, the human being moves into a dream of separation and dreams that it really is a person. This is wholeness doing this. There is no person. There's no one that's separate. But wholeness appears as a separate person. And then, when separation, directly separation takes place or arises, what also arises with it and is a story. So you could say that separation is the story of me. Suddenly, out of nothing, out of no identity, arises the story of me. And the story of me they're both the same thing. Me is the story, and the story is me. They both coexist, they both have to have each other. They both are each other. Without the story, there's no me, and there's no separate me. And without no separate me, there's no story. In reality, oneness is not a story. It appears as though it is. It appears as though, trees grow and things happen. But actually it is simply the expression of oneness appearing to be something arising and growing and dying. So when separation arises, when the separate me, the story of me arises, what also arises with it, and it feels very real to the me, is the idea that the me, the individual, has free will and choice and can take action. And there is such a thing as time. This is all in the story. Time is real. Cause and effect is absolutely real for the individual. There's no argument about that. Cause and effect are absolutely real. And I am real. Me, I'm real. I'm a real person. And what makes that even more apparent to the person is there's lots of other me's. All over the world there are me's. And they seem to be individuals, and they seem to have free will and choice. And so the story of me is the story of trying to make the story better. The story of me is to avoid pain and seek pleasure. That's really, in simple terms, what me does. Me wants to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So it grows up and it learns how to do that. And it's taught by its parents and teachers, priests, whatever. So it grows up in a world where it tries to make its story better and better. And that can mean anything you like. Money, women, men, doesn't matter. And it's a gathering in of that which will make my story better. For a lot of people that seems to be the reality and they don't question it. For some people, that very simple way of gathering in pleasure is not enough. Because somewhere, for some people, none of that really works properly. It isn't fulfilling. And the main reason is that the story of me is the story of separation. Me is separate from the world it's in. It's in the world and it dreams that the world is happening to it. And so when it looks at anything out of these eyes, the me eyes, in the story, when it looks at everything, it sees nothing as it really is. So me, the individual, the separate individual, never sees a tree as it really is, never sees the grass as it really is, never sees the sky, and never sees another person as they really are. Everything is seen through the veil of separation. Everything is separate from me. So she is over there, she's separate from me. I'm me, and she's someone else. I'm me, and I'm something called me, and I really believe that. And so everything else that arises in my life is separate from me. It's another something. So I'm something, and the tree is something else. And that separation brings dissatisfaction. A lot of people are very sensitive about this feeling that there's something missing. More than money, lovers and all of that, there's something else in this life that seems to be missing. There's a feeling of unfulfillment. And so the seeker arises and looks for a way to be fulfilled. And that could be to be a Christian or Buddhist or meditate or go to a therapist or whatever, self-inquire, do something which will bring that fulfillment. But of course, that me is still in a dream circle, it's still in a dream story, looking for something in the circle. So it's still using it thinks, it dreams that it's using its free will and choice to find fulfillment. And so it has to learn how to do that. It thinks it has to learn, so it goes to a teacher. And the teacher tells it it has to meditate, or it has to self-inquire, or whatever, in order to find what it's looking for. Now, that's the normal way in which people seek. So what we're talking about here is we're suggesting together, we're having a look at the possibility that there's another way, that whole effort of the individual to find something is utterly and completely futile. Because the whole reason it's futile is that the individual lives in a separate world and is looking for wholeness and can't find wholeness because its whole way of seeing everything is out of separation. So what's being suggested here is that in some way or other that whole futility is illuminated. Then what can and does seem to happen is that the whole energy of me can suddenly collapse. Not through any effort, not through any method, but it simply collapses. Suddenly the whole energy of being separate can simply die, collapse, be no more. And then, thereafter, that is wholeness. That is what I call liberation. It's liberation from the imprisonment of being in a separate story called me. So what we're talking about here really is the end of the story of me, the sudden end of the story of me, which the me can't bring about, because the me is the story and the story is me. Suddenly that whole inconstant story and state of being me can collapse. And thereafter, what is there is indescribable. What is there thereafter can't be described because it can't be known. It is unknowable. It is living in unknowing. It is living in the wonder of being.